Welcome back to the Green Talk. I'm your host, Ms. Rain Mata. Today is going to be a little bit different. Most of the time, we talk about plants, turf, technology, leadership, and business. But every now and then, we get the opportunity to sit down with someone whose story is bigger than their title. Today's guest is someone that many of you know from social media, industry events, and leadership circles. She has built a reputation for helping sales teams grow, helping professionals develop confidence, and perhaps most importantly, helping people realize their potential. Please welcome Kayla. Kayla, how you doing this morning? Thank you for being with us.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me here. I'm super excited to talk with you today.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you again. And Kayla, before we start talking about careers and leadership and everything that it is new for you,
Mhm.
I always like to start with my guests with something simple about the person behind everything we see every day or out there. So, who was Kyla before the landscape industry ever found her?
Gosh, I was a 22-year-old fresh out of college. I had moved from Iowa. I grew up in Iowa, and I had moved to Virginia Beach. I had landed a job with a AAA baseball team. I was super excited because that's what I had actually studied throughout college. I was always driven, by competition, so I felt like sports was my natural background to go work into. Actually started playing club rugby because I played collegiate soccer, and I was just living life in my early 20s and really trying to figure out who I was as a young adult.
Nice. And
Yeah.
you talked about sports, and for many young people, sports really like play a huge part of what they become later.
hmm
So, what values were most important in your home growing up?
Oh, the one that comes to mind that was probably the most important was like work ethic. You know, both of my parents instilled this in me when I was a young kid. My brother and I both had jobs by the time we were 15. I mean, growing up in Iowa, we were like always outside playing. We were always, seeking adventure, and like we wanted our own money. Our parents just didn't give us money. So, I think that work ethic really led into a lot of things in responsibility early on that our parents taught us. I'm super thankful for that foundation. They definitely taught me a lot of life skills early, and I think like hard work and that work ethic was definitely the foundation of that.
Awesome. That's
Yeah.
great. And, going back in the years, what did younger Kyla think she will become in the future?
You know, I feel like most kids are like, "Oh, I was gonna be like an astronaut or a veterinarian," but like I really don't recall having a specific childhood dream career. Like I was actually known as like the class clown growing up. Like I was always really kind of like loud and obnoxious. I was always like doing funny voices. But I was also really known as like the risk taker and the adventure seeker. Like in sports, I was always like the first person to volunteer to do whatever we had to do. So, like, that natural tendency to maybe be a leader was there, but I didn't really like remember a career that I knew that I wanted.
Yeah. And talking about that leadership at an early age, that was something like came naturally or something that you developed over time?
I would say I was naturally bossy as a kid. I was definitely telling my brother what to do, like all the time.
Yeah.
So I don't
He's
know if
he's younger or older than you?
he's older than me. Yeah, by
Okay.
18 months. So like we're really close in age. We were always really
Uh-huh.
close growing up. So I'm not sure if like the bossiness counts as a real leadership quality early on. But really I think like that genuine leadership skill definitely developed over time and really over my career, kind of building on those natural habits. And I mean, I'm still developing as a leader today. I think it's something that we continue to grow on and adjust our leadership style constantly.
True. It's a never-ending process, right? Just keep
For sure.
keep becoming a better leader every time.
Yeah.
And this is something. I mean, this next question is something I always find interesting to
Mhm.
to know. but what is something people assume about you that they are completely wrong?
Oh, I think that people probably assume that I'm naturally a very confident person. Uh, which, believe it or not, like, I still get very decisive. I question my decisions sometimes because I am a fast decision maker, which to me that doesn't necessarily mean that I'm naturally confident. Sometimes I act too quickly. But I have learned, like, it's not about having it all figured out. And I think maybe people think that I have it all figured out, especially with, on LinkedIn, I really work to post stuff that's relatable, but also like very my real self and very authentic. And I try to show that like I don't have it all figured out and that, through uncertainty, I don't let things stop me. But also, one thing that a lot of people don't know is that I have battled imposter syndrome for a really, really long time and really not feeling like I've ever been adequate enough. And again, I think that goes with the confidence piece. So
Right.
that's probably the two biggest things for sure.
Okay, well, those are good ones. Those are good ones. And there was a moment on your life, especially at younger age, where something challenged you in a way that make you be more like success, like or better than the way you were doing things.
Again, I think it was like probably sports that shaped me the most as a kid and like really learning the discipline in following directions, but also being able to develop skills over time. That was probably like the biggest thing that translated from being a kid into my leadership career today.
Okay, good, good, interesting. And moving now a little bit into the transitioning into the green
Mhm.
industry. I always, every time I have the opportunity to talk to somebody in the industry, um, it's very interesting to find out how they ended up being on the industry, right, on landscaping,
Yeah.
because there is nobody just waking up and saying, "Oh, I'm going to work in landscaping today," right? So, what happened to you? How was the first step to you entering into this industry?
Yeah, you're right. It's very few people that like know that they want to be in the green industry. Like usually you see that with people that maybe their parents had a business or they had a sibling that had worked in landscaping or what have you. For me, it was completely by accident. Like most people, I know I had mentioned that when I first got out of college, I was playing on a club rugby team in Virginia Beach, and a girl that I had played rugby with actually worked for Legacy Valley Crest, and we were at rugby practice. I had just left the sports team that I was working for, and I was looking for a new job, looking for a new team to work for. And she said, like, "Hey, in the meantime, why don't you just come work for us? We're about to do seasonal flower rotations. Like, I can pay you $8.15 an hour." And I was
Wow.
like, like I can't. There's no way I'm going to be able to pay my student loans, and my rent on that. But like, I need something to do. So like, okay. So I started on a crew in the industry. I was planting flowers for I think it was like 5, 6 weeks, and then I was like, okay, like I'm gonna go try to find like a real job now. And I'll never forget the branch manager at the time. Shout out Linda Starowitz. She pulled me in her office and she said, "Kayla, you should stay. Like your work ethic, your ability to learn quickly, like you could really have a career in this industry." And I trusted her. So I ran a crew for a summer. It was me and 5 guys, and I
Wow.
didn't know anything about landscaping. Like I didn't even know how to string a weed whacker or like a line trimmer, right? So
Yeah.
like these guys were like laughing, teaching me this, but also like they were so kind and compassionate. And I just developed so much respect for not only the people in the industry, but just the possibilities and how much people wanted to teach. And it completely, opened my eyes. And I worked through operations and then account management and then obviously eventually got into sales. So,
Yeah. Oh, that sounds like a fun.
yeah.
A lot of steps. And there was something in a specific that and during that time attracted you the most. Like say, this is it. This is where I want to stay. This is what I want to do.
Yeah, what I really loved was that every single day was different. So, like, even if I think back to like when I was working on a crew, like, yes, we had the route that like we did every week, but like every time that we were on a job, like there was always different stuff that I was doing, right? So, like, I loved that like constant like stimulation, but also having the ability to work hard, not only as an individual, but like to be a part of a team, even as I evolved through my career, like into account management, like seeing that satisfying work, but then also, again, developing the respect for the men and women in the field. Like, I knew it was something that I wanted to be a part of. And it was so much bigger than just landscaping, you
Right.
know?
Yeah, yeah, totally, totally understand that. And we all face, challenge and different situations during our career where we may think, now I need to just go away and find something else.
Yeah.
Did you cross that path at some point early in your career?
I did. So back in, I want to say it was like 2020, I did actually leave the industry. It was a really, really hard decision, but the company I was working for at the time, I felt really disappointed. Um, which so I was a top performer. I was one of the top sellers in the organization, but because I was a top performer, I felt overlooked and not invested in. I felt like just a number in the organization. I didn't feel like a true person where I felt genuinely cared about. You know, it was great in a sense because I was left alone because I was really, really good at my job. But also, like, I wanted to be developed and I was hungry for like that next thing. And I wasn't getting it where I was. So I left the industry completely for just over a year. I went and worked for an amazing organization doing sales out of Charlotte, North Carolina. I had 5 states that I covered. I had amazing sales leadership. I learned a lot about myself, but also a lot about leadership and sales being in that organization. So I'm thankful. I think it was part of my journey and part of my path. But obviously, I came back after, again, a little over a year and jumped into a sales leadership role. And the rest is kind of history from there,
Yeah, you came back stronger.
for sure.
And the point you mentioned, I think that's a good one because it happens a lot still in the industry. Like over
Mhm.
people that perform well, oh, he got it or she got it. I don't need to worry
Yeah.
about it. And most of the times, like, oh, I need something, right? I need to keep developing skills or whatever it is. But that was a good point, a good learning lesson for sure for you, and then also for others. And I'm pretty
Absolutely.
sure people listen to this episode will also appreciate that. And for you, Kayla, at what point um, landscaping was just a job and become a mission or a purpose for you?
Yeah, I think when I went from being on that like crew leader role and then really transitioned into an account manager and had the ability to start to grow and develop like the people where I was. And again, I had a true understanding of like what the men and women go through in the field because like I was with them, right? In the truck
Hmm.
for 8, 9 hours a day, in the field with them for 8, 9 hours a day. So like I really realized that the landscape industry could be a career when I had the ability to pour into other people and that my influence and my potential impact could go way beyond myself, right? And then even as I moved from account management into sales, it really reviewed like the industry's true potential career, path or potential that I didn't even realize existed because while I was getting to know the operations side of the world, I had a preconceived notion of like what sales was. We had a business developer at the time that I truly didn't understand like what his role was. I just knew that as an account manager, I didn't like when he sold things because that meant more work on my plate. And sometimes maybe it wasn't sold correctly. But once I really got into that sales aspect, I understood that like, wow, the growth potential and like different avenues of careers within the industry are like way more vast than what I ever realized. And that really, I think, like sparked my passion for mentorship and really, building a platform that I could promote the industry and really help others understand outside of the industry, like what the potential capabilities are, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, it is. That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome. And somebody with that much experience like you in the industry and in life and everything, what would you tell to new people entering into the industry? Not just young people, like just in general, new people coming today, what opportunities do you think people are overlooking?
Again, I think that young people, so like I've talked to recently a lot of like fresh college graduates, right? And people are thinking about technology and AI and not necessarily maybe understanding that like even those two buckets are important in this industry now. Like this industry has changed dramatically over the last even 3 to 5 years. I mean, it's still rapidly changing now, right? So I think like having young people think outside of the box and like landscaping just isn't cutting grass, weeding beds, trimming bushes, installing, outdoor kitchens, like installing new plant material. Like it's so much bigger than what it is on the surface. And again, I think that's why it's important that for any landscape company, like you're really positioning yourself, obviously not only to get new business, but you're positioning yourself like as an employer where there's potential and there's opportunity and you're able to show those actual opportunities to your prospective talent base, especially the young professionals, for sure.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. There is way so many opportunities now. Like when I mean, you just say it the right way. It's more than just mow, edge, and trim. It's
Yes.
a lot of stuff behind the scenes to keep a company up and running,
Yes.
especially with all the technology coming now into the industry. And
Totally.
yeah, I would like to transition a little bit, Kyla, into the leadership sales role.
Mhm.
Um, I mean, we all know you have shared openly about leadership growth,
Mhm.
emotional intelligence, and discovering what makes someone successful in sales
Mhm.
doesn't always make them successful as a leader, right?
Yes.
So there is difference in there. So, what is the biggest difference between being successful and being influential?
Yeah, this question is, I mean, to me I felt like it's an easy answer, but this is a distinction that really came clear to me when I just recently left my corporate role at a decent sized landscape company. Was that I felt like when I left that my biggest impact or like what I would have been remembered for was like the amount of revenue and results that I helped produce, right? And what I realized is that after I gave my notice and people were hearing that I was leaving the company, I had so many people reach out to me and they were so thankful about how much I had impacted and influenced them as people in their careers. And it was something that it makes me even a little bit emotional thinking about because I didn't realize like that effect that I had on people and that ripple. And to me, like that's the piece that the influence really impacts. Influence is something that endures, it continues because of how you've supported others along the way, versus success is just about me and what I've done. So it's really changed my perspective that success, yes, is great, but at the same time, like, how can I truly influence and impact people beyond just myself?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And I actually agree with all the people reaching out to you about. We all get a little portion of you with all your knowledge and all the everything you share
Yeah.
from you. So we all get benefit from that and somehow. And it was shocking also to see your decision of going different direction, but
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that was for the best in
Totally.
your career.
Yeah.
And what is some leadership lesson that took you, some time to learn?
There's so many. Where do I begin? The thing about the thing about leadership is that no one taught me how to be a leader. I was the classic case of where you take a super successful seller and you're like, you know what? I'm going to take this person and I'm going to put him in a leadership role, right? And then no training. It was just like, hey, you're going to be the regional leader for this region. Here's your team. Like, you got this. So I learned so much along the way, and I'm super thankful for my journey and everyone that I worked with and that had so much grace for me as I learned to be a leader and as I made so many mistakes. But, over the course of the last 5 years of really being in a sales leadership role, I think the number one thing that I learned, or that took me the longest to learn, was that you can't want someone's growth more than they want it for themselves. I can coach and I can teach the skills that you need to be successful, but I can't make someone show up and do the work every day. And I think that was the hardest thing for me to learn as a leader, because I'm naturally someone who's like, GSD, if anybody knows what that stands for. But it's like, I get it done, right? So for someone, for me as a leader, for someone to not just like have that drive and that tenacity was definitely something that I struggled with early on, for sure.
Yeah, that was a good one. That's a really good point. A good lesson, learn lesson. And just staying on that same line, how do you balance empathy? Because somehow a leader must show empathy with
Mhm.
others. How do you
Yeah.
balance empathy with accountability?
Ooh, empathy is super hard for me. I don't know if anybody's like familiar with DISC, or, there's like so many different assessments out there that you can
Yeah,
give
yeah.
employees. But like on the DISC scale, like I am super, super high, like DI, very low on the S and the C, which like the S is primarily like that empathy bucket
Hmm.
and like being able to really relate to like people's feelings. So I struggled with that, especially again as a new leader coming in. Like it was very, very tough for me. And what I learned is that people deserve grace just as we give ourselves grace, but honesty matters just as much, right? So I actually just recently posted about this on LinkedIn, is really distinguishing from nice to kind. Nice is telling someone what they want to hear, and kind is telling them the truth. But again, there's a balance there that you still have to have a little bit of empathy while also holding your team accountable. So it's a tightrope walk for sure.
Yeah, yeah, it's a hard one, but definitely um, it's something that we need to have both of
Yeah,
them, right?
for sure.
Make people accountable for the things the actions they make, and as leaders, we make mistakes, right? We're not
Mhm.
perfect. So, what leadership mistake are you grateful you made? Something that kind of screwed up, but really, I was glad that it happened.
Yeah, early in my leadership career, I always wore the cape, as I like to call that. So what I mean by that is that I was swooping in and saving my team from difficult situations. I realized that I was not only overextending myself, but I was making my team over reliant on me. I recognized that I was being the superhero and I wasn't being a true leader. So I really had to step back and shift my focus to my team and make them their own heroes, help them realize their own superpowers, that not everybody has to do things the way that I did it when I was a direct seller, but really focusing on that individualized coaching and helping them again find out what are their superpowers and coaching them to that. Because the reality is that most people already know the answer to the difficult situation. It just takes us as leaders asking the right questions.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good one right there. Um, One thing that recently caught my attention from you was that seems like your mission just evolve, change. Well, no, not change, evolve. It's a
Yeah.
different. What changed in your career recently?
Yeah, so just over a month ago, it'll actually be a month in 2 days. I left corporate and my VP of sales role, and I decided to start my own business. It was absolutely terrifying. But I had been thinking about it for, gosh, like 8 months, and I just didn't know how to get past my identity as being a VP of sales. Like I was so tied to who I was in that role and just who I was in the industry. But I knew that my passion and my purpose was so much bigger than my title and being in one company. So I decided to chase that true passion, which again is like people in the industry, and really, again, making an impact beyond just one organization and supporting multiple organizations in terms of developing their sales systems, developing people, helping them find people, and training and coaching.
Awesome. Yeah, it's scary for sure
Totally.
first, but I'm sure it's been a great uh, adventure in decision moving on. Before we move from here, and I would like to ask this before, but I said I'm gonna wait until I have the opportunity to have Kayla in the podcast. I remember you sharing a post on LinkedIn about a either it was a letter or note from Justin White, one of his presentations.
Mhm.
So it was something like that, right? That you had to write down a decision or goal. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so I was at Synced Live, Angelique's event in January of 2025, and I knew who Justin was because I had followed him on LinkedIn, but I had never like seen him speak or anything like that. And he was a speaker at this event. It was in January. I remember it was freezing in like Atlanta area, and he talked about taking massive action, and I felt so just empowered and motivated by him talking about this, which he's like a great speaker, by the way. I know he speaks at tons of industry events now. But one
Hmm.
exercise that he had the whole group do was write a letter to yourself 6 months from now, right? And I sat at that table and I was sitting with some industry friends that I had just met, and I had this huge smile on my face, and they're like, "Kayla, like what are you smiling about?" And I was like, I know, like I felt like something so deep inside of me. I was like, I know like what I want to do. Like I want to start my own business. And like I had no idea like what it looked like at that time. But I remember writing that note to myself and essentially writing that, what my passion was and what I felt like my purpose was. And I got the letter in the mail 6 months later. So it was like July of last year. And when I got it, I felt so disappointed in myself. Like I'm probably the hardest person on myself, right? But I felt so disappointed in myself because I hadn't accomplished it yet, right? I had started to like think about it further, but I was so focused on my corporate role and like building my team and spending time with my people that I hadn't made it a priority. So when I got that letter, I was like, it's go time. And it reminded me, it like brought me back to like, okay, let's focus on how can we really build this. And really over the course of essentially the last year, right? From July of last year, I really started to formulate and write down my ideas and set goals and benchmarks of how I was going to build this. And I did it. So shout out Justin White. Thanks for the motivation.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, big hello to Justin. And so that was that specific moment when you were writing that letter. What that specific moment that caused you retained your direction, or it was before that moment?
So I think that definitely kickstarted it. But then again, I had a lot of like delays over the last year, right? Like I still had a job to do. I couldn't be like building a business while I was also collecting a paycheck from the organization that I was in. But I think like the biggest turning point for me that was like gas pedal to the floor, like I'm ready to do this, like I'm going to do it in the next 6 months, was last year I went to Thailand for just about a month. It was about 3.5 weeks. And that trip completely changed me and changed my outlook on the next 5 years. And I knew at that point that I didn't want to run the race that I was in. Like I was ready to be done with the corporate race. Like I had always measured my success by individual achievement, and Thailand like really made it clear like what my purpose was and that it was bigger than myself. Like I wanted to take my skills and my knowledge and my drive to help other people and companies across the industry and build a legacy that was just bigger than Kayla Lujan.
Yeah, yeah, that's great. And talking about 5 years,
Mhm.
what problem are you trying to solve now that you weren't trying to solve 5 years ago?
Yeah, now it's all about the gap between hiring and development. And that's really again why I started Grit, was that so many people are hired into organizations or they're in organizations, right? Like I talked about with the company that I had left because I wasn't invested in, is that too many people are expected to succeed or remain successful without being given the coaching and ongoing development. And that's I was not thinking about that 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And obviously now I am.
That's great. That's awesome. And talking about mentorship and coaching, you just launched a initiative focusing on helping women to take ownership of their professional growth. So why is mentorship so important to you?
I wouldn't be where I am today or be in this industry without, the amazing people that have been part of my career and challenged me and believed in me. Again, Lindsay Kinsler and Linda Starowitz were the two female leaders that really made the most impact on me initially. Like they definitely saw something in me that I didn't see in myself at, 22, 23 years old. And they really pushed me to think bigger and think outside of just the little box that I knew as an early 20-year-old, right? So that was something that I wanted to create for other people because I've been there. And not only understanding what they're successful or what the potential of somebody is, but also like just being there for somebody because there's so many things that we go through in our professional journey that we feel like are maybe dumb questions or we can't go to somebody about. So I just wanted to be able to have that platform and be that for other people.
Awesome, awesome. And I know you just talked about recently or a little bit ago about a the gaps in the
Mhm.
industry. But what gap specifically I seen you or you are seeing on leadership development today? Like what's the main one that you noticed that this needs to be fixed?
Biggest one is definitely promoting people into leadership roles without teaching them how to lead. Again, I had been there. I've talked to even just recently a lot of landscape companies about that. Is that I'm ready for a sales leader. I want to take my top rep and promote them, and I'm like, hold on, that's the easy button, right? But
Yeah.
the reality is that that's not the fix. You have to understand number one, is that the person's goal? But then if it is their goal, you can't take a brand new leader and throw them into a leadership role without having a true coach or mentor to help develop them and, walk them through that early leadership journey.
So the coaching, the mentorship, the education, the training is still is, and it will continue to be one of the biggest things that, as a whole, as an industry, we need to keep improving, especially on the leadership roles for sure.
Yes.
Um, you have said that people, and I love this. You have said that people need to stop waiting to be noticed and own their growth.
Yeah.
Why do you think so many professionals struggle with that?
It's uncomfortable, right? Asking for the next step, the promotion, the raise, the additional responsibility, it feels uncomfortable and it's freaking scary, right?
Hmm.
I think naturally, no matter what role you're in, or even inside the industry or outside the industry, our natural belief as professionals is that if I do really great work and I work really hard, my boss, they're going to recognize me and I'm going to get rewarded with all the money and all the promotions, right? But the reality is like, that's not it. Like, they're just going to continue to let you do your thing most of the time. Unless you work for a really good leader or a really good boss that is focused on people, like, that's not just going to naturally happen. And especially for women, I talk to so many women in the industry who are so uncomfortable and so scared to ask for more money or time off or what does my next step look like in my career. So again, I think it's the fear and the uncomfortableness of it. And just again, going back to mentorship, not having a mentor or a coach to really help talk you through that situation and give you the courage to do it.
Yeah, great. And you just touched my next point: woman in the industry.
Hmm.
Um, what has been like building a career as a woman in a traditional may dominate industry for you?
Yeah, again, I mean, I was super fortunate that I had amazing women leadership, in the branch that I was working in. Shout out Legacy Valley Crest, amazing company as many of us know. But there were so many women in my branch, so it was like really inspiring because I saw what the potential opportunity was. But I obviously had the support there, them being mentors. But I would say, it's definitely challenging at times. The organization that I was just in, for 5 years, I was the only woman at the leadership table, right? Like besides HR, which HR is typically female, right? But like
Yeah.
a woman that had industry experience, operational knowledge, sales knowledge, like I was the only female on that team. And I think it gave me like more fire than anything, because it was really rewarding for me because I was able to build so much credibility, with so many people in the company. And again, I think a lot of females and even males in that organization looked up to me because it was like, damn, like look at what Kayla's doing, and like she has no fear. So I think that that confidence in asking, just for any females within the industry, is key. And again, show up with confidence, even if it's, I call it delusional confidence. Even if it's delusional confidence, like just go for it. Like you got this.
Yeah, totally. And in your opinion, since when you started, you think that things have improved?
Definitely. Yes. I mean, there's way more women that are leading. Like, I mean, there's so many industry organizations like NALP, Leanscaper, Lawn and Landscape. Like, we're seeing so many more women on panels and speaking at these industry events versus, a bunch of guys being up there, which is
Mhm.
nice. So many more women are mentoring each other or like a lot more visible in the industry. But then also, like, there's so many more specific networking events. Again, NALP does a women's focused event. Site One does a women's event. Influential Encounters is out there too for, landscape and snow industry females. So, like, it's definitely progressing and growing way faster than it ever has before.
Yeah, it does. And but like everything, there is things to improve. What do you think still needs to change in the industry for women?
Yeah, women got to do this. They got to raise their hands for opportunities, even when you don't feel 100% ready. Recently I just talked a couple weeks ago with a young female that just graduated college. She's worked a little bit in the landscape industry, like through internships. And on the call, she said I was encouraging her to apply for this position with a company. And we were looking at the job description, and she said to me, Kayla, but I don't have those qualifications. And I said, I don't care. Like, apply anyways, right? Because if I was talking to a guy your same age and your same position with the internships that you had, he would apply.
Yeah.
And like, that's what you have to be willing to do. Again, going back to getting uncomfortable, because if you don't take the chance to apply or to send the message to say, hey, I need your advice, or I'd really love to talk to you about this. I'm going through a difficult situation, or I want to, ask for a raise. Like, can you support me? Like, that's what it takes, is just raising your hand or sending the message or going after the opportunity.
Yeah, yeah, great advice. And talking about advices for the younger generation or females or women, what advice would you give to a woman entering this industry?
That you don't have to prove that you belong. That the first step is taking the leap to get in the industry. You got to focus on learning and growing. And again, to just, if you see somebody on LinkedIn or like even me, right, or anybody that's like me, there's so many powerful, amazing women in this industry now
Mhm.
that like just reach out. Like all of us are so willing to help you and to encourage you and guide you, that like now more than ever, like it's such a sense of community.
Yeah. So reaching out to others, communicating with uh, uh, the pioneers in the industry, just per se that way, and just networking with others, it will help a lot to keep the younger generation, female younger generation, entering into the industry. That's awesome. And at some point, successful people stop chasing titles and then start chasing impact. And
Mhm.
this is your case. It's been great, learning about you since early age, the whole transition in your career. What motivates you today?
Freedom. I think,
Traveling.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many things, right? Like, and I think that's like the easiest way to describe it is like freedom. Not only the freedom to, travel and spend time with my wife, but like the freedom to build something meaningful. Like, not that I didn't have that in corporate, like being in an organization, but like now I feel like I'm not stuck in the fenced in yard, right? Like, I was okay being in the fenced in yard. Like, I liked, being secure and feeling comfortable. But like now that the fence is gone, I'm like, let's freaking go, right?
Yeah.
And I've already met just over the course of the last 3 weeks so many people and company owners and general managers and presidents and COOs and CEOs that want to help their people reach their goals and really help them find what is possible. And it's been so exciting and felt so freeing. So like that's definitely what motivates me.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And what keep you going during difficult times or seasons? Because nothing is perfect for Kayla, even that you look like a superhero, I'm pretty sure you still have to go through difficult times. So what keep you going during those times?
Yeah, difficult times. I mean, it's constant for everybody, right? And I think it's important that you be vulnerable about it too. Like we all struggle with things. I just posted on LinkedIn. Like there's a back of a pickup truck that said like be kind to people. Like you never know what other people are going through. Like people are fighting battles. That is so true. So, for me, what gets me through the difficult situations is keeping the end goal in mind. And to answer your question, I know you're already thinking of is what is the end goal,
Yes.
Kayla? The end goal is to have the business, to have grit scaled where I have an exceptional team that is helping to run the organization and helping to coach and find top talent. And in the next 5 years, I'm living and traveling throughout Asia with my wife. That's the dream. So that's the end goal. And that's definitely what keeps me motivated.
Awesome. Awesome. And um, looking ahead of the time when your career is over,
Yep.
whenever that time is, what do you hope people remember about you?
Oof. That I challenge them to stop settling for good enough and that people can truly see what they are capable of and that they have the confidence to go after it and ask for it.
Great. Awesome. Thank you for sharing that.
Of course.
Now I would like to do like a rapid fire round, just a
Okay.
question and just to get to know more about you, okay?
Okay.
And your daily routine or just about you more.
Okay.
So coffee or energy drink?
Coffee in the morning, energy drink in the afternoon. I love caffeine.
Morning person or night person?
Morning all the way. I'm like in bed by 9:30, so definitely not a night owl.
Awesome. What's your favorite leadership book?
For new leaders, and one that I still have on my shelf that I continue to go back to is Sales Management Simplified by Mike Weinberg. Great leadership book.
Awesome. Awesome. Most underrated skill in business?
Communication.
It's a good one. I love
Hmm.
that. Favorite industry event?
Oh, this has changed recently. I mean, shout out to Leanscaper, Mark Bradley and team. Like, y'all put on good events, like amazing speakers. Definitely favorite industry events.
Great. One habit that changed your life?
Protecting the life I've built.
Great. One thing you wish every salesperson understood?
uh, when in doubt, pick up the damn phone.
Call, make phone
Yes.
calls. One thing you wish every leader understood?
That your people are watching what you do more than listening to what you say.
Oh, that's a good one. I'm gonna
Mhm.
I'm gonna take a note of that one.
Yeah.
Um, one thing the landscaping industry gets right?
Relationships.
Yeah, it's a good one too. Now, one thing the landscape industry needs to improve?
I think this one's obvious. We've talked about it like the whole show, right? Definitely developing and coaching people. 100%.
Yeah, totally. And before we move to one of the last questions or the
Mhm.
last topics, I would like to ask about the frame and your back and your background, the lion. Do you want to talk about it?
Sure. So I've had this. This is from a local Tampa artist, Jason Skell, and I had another one too. I just sold it, but this one I've had since probably 2016. And I first bought it because it really has my mentality, the lion mentality. I'll never forget when I first got here to Florida. I said to my boss, because I was so excited to be selling in Florida. I said to my boss, I feel like a lion in a field of gazelles. Like I was ready to just freaking crush it. So I bought this painting, and it's actually called "Make Money in Silence." So it reminds me to be humble in everything that I get. That you can still be a lion, you can still have that lion mentality, but to do it in silence.
No, that's great. That's thank you for sharing that.
Of course.
Thank you for sharing that. Um, Before my last question, what is something you believe today that you didn't believe 5 years ago?
I'm gonna make this a personal answer because I feel super fortunate.
Yeah,
Uh, the hack, or what I believe, is definitely that marrying well is the biggest life hack of all.
yeah,
I'm super
definitely.
fortunate to be in, the best relationship with my wife who's in the military, and she's my rock. She helped me get this business off the ground. She's definitely the visionary as part of the EOS system, and I'm the one to get it done. So yeah, marrying well, biggest life hack of all.
Awesome. That's it's always I would say that's one of the biggest decisions to make is just to have the right partner on your side to be
Totally,
able to accomplish your goals, dreams, and just enjoying life. We'll say it
totally.
that way. Yeah. So to end this conversation, Kaya, if you have the opportunity to sit down with your younger self version,
Okay.
what's something that will you say to the younger Kyla?
Oh man. Stop hitting your brother. No. No, I think I would say stop waiting until you feel ready. Always choose to make the memory, apply for the role you think you're not qualified for, raise your hand even without the perfect answer, and that most life-changing opportunities come from being unwilling to get uncomfortable, or being willing to get uncomfortable before feeling confident. And really just that you got this.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you for sharing.
Of course.
I will say that one of the biggest lessons today is that success isn't about becoming more of who you are, but be about becoming who you are capable of being. So thank you, Kayla, for being in the podcast today. A lot of not no information, a lot of knowledge, a lot of great insights that I will do my best to break down everything during after this and be able to share that with the audience and people that I know they're following this podcast because it was just great knowledge, insights that you bring, not just now, but like overall every day you posting and everything you're doing out there. Thank you so much for being here today.
Of course. My pleasure.
Thank you. And for our listeners, thank you so much for your time as well. And don't forget to subscribe and like. And we'll see you until the next time. This is the Green Talk Podcast.